In today's scene, we are looking at something that happens entirely within a phone booth with particular attention to the reflections of that phone booth. Let's take a look. So Laura, what is the scene that we're going to be looking at today?
So today we're doing a phone booth scene. There's a girl and she's on the phone and she's approached by kind of a shadowy figure and she gets scared and she runs away. It's kind of more like a suspense scene.
Yeah, and we are using a phone booth, which is kind of a tricky prop to play with because it has reflections on all sides.
Definitely.
So today's lesson is also a little bit about how to use reflections to your advantage and how to prevent other things from getting into reflections. If a crew member is wearing a light colored shirt, you might see that reflection. Even if they're wearing a dark colored shirt, if they do any kind of movements, you can still see it.
So it's important to always remember to wear black if you're behind the camera.
So for this master shot, our wide shot, we have the camera coming in on a dolly, kind of moving closer to the phone booth, and you see the girl talking inside the phone booth. What is that lighting that you did inside the phone booth itself?
So inside the phone booth, we took two MCs and we put them to a warmer color temperature, which is nice because you can dial it in like exactly how you want it in the app. We did it warmer so that it gives it kind of a creepy feel.
And you added to that creepy feel with the 300D as sort of the backlight, and you added a green gel too, just to give it a little bit more of that dirty look.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the third light that you put in was what?
So the next light that we added was a 120D2, and it had a light dome and the grid. And then we also added CTB to give kind of like a subtle blue ambient fill.
So then we had the close-up shot, which actually was blurry on her face and it was focused on the glass itself. And you had a trick to make the glass stand out more.
We added water droplets on the glass, so it drew attention to the glass and it also added a little texture. So we actually opened the door to the phone booth so that when we shot her close-up in the reflection, it wouldn't be as obscured. Because we were already shooting glass, we didn't want it to be even more obscured by the foreground element of glass.
You had a 120D sort of shining at the wall outside to provide a little bit of texture on the wall, but then your subject's face completely disappeared. So to help bring that out, what did you do?
We added one MC to the side and then we had one kind of in front of her. They're both the same warm color temperature too.
Then in the third shot of this scene, you have the stranger come up. How did you achieve that look?
So we achieved that by lighting the wall behind the stranger with the 300D, and we had that with the CT straw and the plus screen, and we just lit the wall behind the figure so that they were in total silhouette when they approached.
Yeah, it helps that the location had two walls that were parallel to each other so that you could see the reflection of just the silhouette in the glass itself.
Yeah.
And it sort of helps inform the character, just kind of, okay, is she seeing the reflection, is she not? And then she finally turns around and sees it.
Yeah.
And this last shot was an interesting lower angle, Dutch angle of the phone itself and it being dropped and her walking away.
Yeah.
How did you adjust the lighting for that?
So we adjusted the lighting by adding a 120D that was low, that was adding an accent, a blue accent to the phone. We took one of the MCs and we put them on the ground just to add a little bit of warm kick. And then we also added a spotlight for the background. So when she walked away, you could see her shadow on the wall and it just gave it a little bit of extra dimension on the wall.
All right, so let's take a look at all these shots put together. All right, Laura, so if we're shooting a scene that has a very obvious reflective surface in it, what is something that we should keep in mind when shooting?
To wear black if you're behind the camera. Second thing is to make sure that whatever you're reflecting is lit brighter than whatever's behind the glass. And then the third thing is if you want the glass to really stand out, add some texture like how we did with the raindrops.
Yeah, and one thing you could do to make sure that everyone wears black is just write it in the call sheet.